What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we are here with yet another live fantasy football mock draft for you, back on Fantasy Pros with a 10-team full PPR mock where we will be drafting 7th overall. Our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench players. But that's pretty much it. So let's kick this thing off. And while we wait, a quick reminder as always, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter, @AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comments, your thoughts, along with any questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. But with all of that said, let's turn our attention to this draft. And I know it's been a while, or about a week since we've done one of these, but we just returned from a little mini vacation, so let's see what's changed in this last week, and if any craziness has appeared in the first couple of rounds. But, I'm looking at this thing so far, and nothing too wild. Jamar Chase, 101. Bijan, 102. Then CD, Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson. Here, Amon-Ra has gone earlier than, previous. Saquon Barkley then at the 106. So that has left somebody like a Jahmyr Gibbs for us here at the 107 if we want it. Now, I'm looking at the cheat sheet. Let's pull that up. And again, this is a 10-team full PPR mock. So keep in mind that our teams will be deeper. We're going to have better options in the second round, third round, so on and so forth than you might be used to. So there is something to be said about, potentially going with a stud wide receiver here, like a Puka, Neighbors, Nico, and then waiting to get our first top running back, like a Genty or an Achane or a McCaffrey or even Henry in the second round, which I think is a much, much more realistic scenario than if we said, all right, we're going to go with a stud running back here, and, whether it's Gibbs or whoever, and then hope that one of these wide receivers falls to us. But I'm trying to decide right now on the spot what type of, flavor this draft is going to take on. Let's, at least in this first round, let's just go best player available, quote unquote, per the consensus big board. Jahmyr Gibbs, even though I have Genty and Achane pretty close to him, and, I'm not sure it's as clear as Fantasy Pros might suggest in regards to the drafting of Jahmyr Gibbs over there. But regardless, let's see what happened here in the next couple of picks. So, yeah, pretty much exactly how we expected. Those next group of wide receivers were all drafted in Puka, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, and Nico Collins. So, what we said holds true. If we had got one of those wide receivers, we probably can land a Genty or a Christian McCaffrey or a Derrick Henry here. But I wanted to put ourselves in a little bit of a tougher situation because, look, I can big brain this pretty easily, right? But the fun part of the mock draft is to put yourselves in uncomfortable situations and see how you can come out of it, and trying to see different building strategies to your team. So here, we went with the running back in the later part of the first round. Now in the second round, maybe quote unquote that bites us a little bit. I don't have Drake London as high as these rankings might suggest. At this point in time, I personally prefer either a McCaffrey or a Derrick Henry. I've already gone Jahmyr Gibbs, so I have that stud, PPR type of running back. So Derrick Henry feels a little bit safer at this point in time. So let's go with Derrick Henry here. I really like Christian McCaffrey. I think that he's a risk that's, worth taking on, especially if you can get him in the second round. But here I'm just going in a little bit of a different direction and going with Derrick Henry, who I think can also be a really, really solid player for us. And boy, oh boy, man, I'm getting really tempted by some of these players that are still left on the board. And I'll show you why, right? So Drake London afterwards, then A.J. Brown, then JSN, Garrett Wilson at the 208. Earlier than I expected, definitely. Brock Bowers, Christian McCaffrey at the end of the second. That's you got to do that. A hell of a start to the squad that's drafting first overall. Jamar Chase, McCaffrey, and Ladd McConkey. They got tremendous value in the second and third round. But again, that's going to happen a lot here in these 10-team leagues. JSN, Garrett Wilson, I don't think they should be going that early. Personally, I also don't take tight ends that early, but you can make the case in a 10-team league to get that positional advantage. In the third round, McConkey, Rashee Rice, McBride, Devontae Adams, Bucky Irving, and T. Higgins. So now pulling up the board, Tyreek is still there. Somebody like a Mike Evans, Terry, DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison. Here, I'm looking at the squad, and honestly, like, the intent was not to go, basically zero wide receiver or something like that. But I think the best value right now is Chase Brown at the running back position. Get yet another guy that I feel really, really good about in full PPR leagues on a good offense and not too much competition behind him. I'm going Chase Brown here, and then I'm going to finally start building out my wide receiver group. So after we went Chase Brown, there was a run on quarterbacks in Josh Allen and Lamar. Then Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, George Kittle, and Tyreek Hill. So now I'm in a position where I can go some of those wide receivers that I mentioned. Like I can go a Mike Evans, a Terry, a DJ Moore, a Marvin Harrison. I personally really, really like Marvin Harrison. I'm much higher on him than consensus. Quarterback, I could go Jaden. I could go Jalen Hurts. I might try and gamble and see if Joe Burrow drops to us in the 5th round. Probably not, but maybe. Like right now, there doesn't make too much sense to go yet another running back, considering he'd be a bench player for me at this point in time, even though guys like Kyron Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Kenneth Walker are still on the board. But I want to go a wide receiver here, and I'm going to go with Marvin Harrison personally. I think he just has higher upside than a lot of those wide receivers that we mentioned before. So let's see how this thing played out, right? We went Marvin Harrison to get our first wide receiver. Then it was Brees, Alvin Kamara, Jaden Daniels, Kyron, Jalen Waddle, and James Cook to round out the 4th round. So a lot of those running backs that were kind of in the RB2 territory. Then Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, Mike Evans, James Conner, Terry McLaurin, and Jalen Hurts. So, in the 5th round, we still have a lot of options if we want to go wide receiver. DJ Moore is there, Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf. Joe Burrow is there, though. I mentioned potentially going him at quarterback and pairing him up with a Chase Brown. Now, I will say these two next teams do have a quarterback, so I could potentially risk it one more time and see if the last team here doesn't select a quarterback and goes in another direction, so that, we can instead draft a DK Metcalf first, which I think would make our team look a little bit better. And honestly, that's what I'm leaning towards doing. So let's go DK Metcalf. If Joe Burrow is selected, it'll be right here. Yep, that's exactly what happened. So it was DK Metcalf, then DJ Moore, Omarion Hampton, Chris Godwin, and then that was going to be the team that if they selected a quarterback, it was going to be right there, and that's exactly what happened. Joe Burrow at the 601, Zay Flowers, and then Chuba Hubbard. So honestly, like some of those wide receivers that we were looking at are still on the board. Cortland Sutton, Devonta Smith. So maybe DK Metcalf could have made it back to us. Who knows? But we went in the direction that we went in. Because, honestly, like if DK Metcalf got selected there, I'm looking at these other wide receivers, I would have felt better, hindsight is 20/20, but I don't hate what we did. I went to get one of my guys at the wide receiver position. I'll figure something out at quarterback. Now, looking at these other names, if we want to get more depth at wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, Devonta Smith, Chris Olave, I'm potentially waiting for somebody like a Jameson Williams or a Ridley, Addison, Odunze. If we want to go tight end here, Laporta and Hawkinson are the two guys that I'm looking at. I've already got Jahmyr Gibbs, so I've got a share of that Detroit offense. I don't want to go too heavy on Detroit in case, bad offensive game, having to rely on the offense to have an explosion there. So I probably lean TJ Hawkinson at tight end a little bit. Again, let's pull up the big board to see what the tight end situation looks like. Yeah, a lot of tight ends here that still could go to these other squads, and Laporta and Hawkinson are kind of that next group of next best available tight ends. So I probably lean tight end here, even though I'm not going to lie, Monty to get as a handcuff to Jahmyr Gibbs is tempting, even though honestly Monty is a starter in his own right. But let's go with TJ Hawkinson here. I'm going to go TJ and see what happens afterwards. Yeah, I mean, I knew there was going to be a tight end selected, so like this is right in that spot where, Hawkinson and Laporta. Cortland Sutton afterwards, DeAndre Swift, Mahomes, Pickens, Baker, Olave, Justin Herbert. There goes Monty at the 703. Really, really good value. Devonta Smith, Brock Purdy, Xavier Worthy. I think Bo Nix at this point in time is a good value, but I don't have to do it right now. I can do it in the 8th round since the 3 teams after me already have a quarterback. So now going back to our cheat sheet, RJ Harvey here, kind of tempting as well as a starting running back. I ain't going to lie to you. Honestly, I'm going to go in that direction, even though I'm stacked at the running back position. Can never have too much of a good thing. He's been a rookie that I've been high on. So let's go RJ Harvey. And then we're going to go back to the wide receiver position probably, right? Tedero McMillan, Tony Pollard, Jameson Williams, Judy, Aaron Jones, Travis Hunter. So nothing too crazy. I actually here, I'm going to correct myself. I will go Bo Nix here unless every team has a quarterback. Let's see. Yes. All right. Well, that's one of the beautiful things about doing a 10-team league. As long as you're paying attention to your draft board, you can leave the quarterback position for a little bit later and not get punished. Looking at the cheat sheet now, wide receivers. I mentioned Ridley. I mentioned Addison. I mentioned Odunze. So I like all those guys. I probably lean Odunze. I think he can have a little bit of a breakout season, if you will. I'm going to go with Odunze here. Get him on the squad. I was going to say, I don't think that Ridley or Addison are going to make it back to us, and that's exactly the case. Addison afterwards, Pacheco, Ridley, Justin Fields, Trevion Henderson, Juwan Jennings, Travis Kelce, Khalil Shakir, Caleb Johnson, and Njoku, Brian Robinson, and Evan Ingram. So Bo Nix is still there, and honestly, we still don't have to select him. I'm looking at the squad here, and I want to continue to load up on wide receivers. Jacoby Myers, I feel like, is just a solid wide receiver, but part of me also wants to go high upside. I know Stephon Diggs is coming off an injury, but I feel like he's by far and away the best option in New England as far as wide receivers go. I think I could take a chance on him at this point in time, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Stephon Diggs, and then we don't get punished because Jacoby Myers is still on the board. So I'm going to go Jacoby Myers. I'm going to leave tight end, or I'm going to leave quarterback for pretty late. Mark Andrews, Jalen Warren, Dalton Kincaid, Tracy, Quinshon Judkins, and Travis Etienne. So, I mean, I'm fine at the running back position. Yeah, I'm not really sweating it. I've got 3 studs in Gibbs, Henry, Chase Brown, and honestly, if you want to say RJ Harvey too, then go ahead. But I'm going Jacoby Myers here. I feel like that's some pretty good depth. Let's finally go with Bo Nix. Add him to the squad. A versatile, rushing quarterback as well. If we wanted to, we could go another high upside quarterback here in a Caleb Williams or, a Kyler Murray potentially. Let's look at the cheat sheet. Guys that I like, a tight end. I'm not going to select a tight end right now. Wide receiver, Pittman's intriguing. Debo, Pearsall, Mooney, Shaheed, to kind of mention them, but I feel like I did a decent job on loading up on wide receivers. At this point in time, let's just go with another quarterback that, in case things with Bo Nix take a turn for the worse, sophomore slump type of situation, then we've got a quarterback that we can insert and feel okay with. I would say here, probably the smart thing to do is go Kyler Murray. He's more stable. Caleb Williams would be another high upside type of pick. I do believe in Caleb Williams. I think that he can have, a breakout season as well. But let's go for a little bit more stability. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. He's got some rushing upside as well. I think all these top 3 choices in Murray, Caleb Williams, and Jared Goff all work. But let's go with Kyler Murray here in this situation. And let's see the grade we get, because that is our last pick. I actually like the squad we got put together here. We get a C grade, so the draft analysis doesn't necessarily agree with us, but man, I love our running backs: Gibbs, Henry, Chase Brown, and RJ Harvey. Wide receivers, I mean, I think this is the reason why, because I'm higher on these guys than consensus, and Marvin Harrison and DK Metcalf. Then on our bench, I think we just got solid producers. So Odunze, Diggs, Jacoby Myers, tight end TJ Hawkinson. I think he's going to be like, right around 5, 6 overall in terms of tight end production. And then we've got some guys that can produce at the quarterback position with rushing upside. That's really all you can ask for. I think this is a B draft, but hey, let me know your thoughts. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter, @AllDayPigskin, to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.